Rink-wide Vancouver. Pre-game, post-game, every game. Presented by Bodog. From sports odds to free casino games, make a play at bodog.net. Wadden and JPat here with you as, it's for real now, JPat. The first official pre-game of the season as the Canucks head to Edmonton to face off against the Oilers. And morning skate this morning, we saw the lines, the D pairings. Anything jump out to you?
Yeah, there seemed to be some intrigue out of Rogers Place in Edmonton that there was no sign of Oliver Ekman-Larsson when the Canucks were out for their morning skate. So all of a sudden, this defense core that's without Tyler Myers and Travis Dermott, and now you're missing OEL as well. But fear not, the coach said afterwards, no worries, OEL will play tonight. So a little bit of a concern alleviated for the Vancouver Canucks and their fans because we're already talking about trying to defend McDavid and Draisaitl. And yes, Quinn Hughes is going to play a lot, but so will OEL. If he wasn't available, imagine that. You'd be looking at Luke Schenn, and all of a sudden, Tucker Poolman probably would have been number 3 on this depth chart. And so OEL's going to play. It looks like OEL and Poolman together on a pairing, and that leaves Hughes to play with Luke Schenn. And so the challenge is there in front of the Vancouver Canucks, and certainly that's going to be an area that we've spent a lot of time in the offseason and the preseason talking about this defense core. Again, the depth is being tested right off the bat, but it won't be tested as much as it looked like it might be there for 15 or 20 minutes when there was no sign of OEL out on the ice.
They kick things off on the road this season for the first of 5, and they finished the season last year 20-16-5. We've talked about the importance of holding the fort at home, but Canucks are going to have to be better on the road this year as well if they want to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but that record is fully acceptable. 20-16-5, when you look at it, almost half of their points from last season came on the road. If you can produce that kind of road record, it really is more about what they did or didn't do on home ice. Now, as you mentioned, they're starting with 5 straight at home or on the road, so they can't worry about winning games at Rogers Arena right now. They have to worry about Rogers Place tonight and then move on to Philadelphia, Washington, Columbus, and wrap things up in Minnesota. But no, the road record was no issue last year. And you look at JT Miller, almost half his points, finished with his 49 points to lead the Vancouver Canucks out on the road. Last season, Elias Paterson and Quinn Hughes were second on this team, both of them with 30 points away from home. So there's room for improvement for others, but JT Miller was an equal opportunist, scored at home, scored away from home as well. And we know that it wasn't a great preseason for Miller. He had 3 assists, but didn't really ever leave his footprint on any of these games. So you want to see him ramp it up. We know what he means to this hockey club. He's sort of that engine, the heartbeat kind of guy. And whether he can come close to 99 points again this season, that's going to be determined over the next 82. But man, it would be nice to see him rev it up and step up his game, starting with game 1 tonight against the Oilers.
It'd be nice to see the Canucks rev up their game off the hop as well. Started off October last year, 3-5-1. We know what happened in November, but they got to get off on the right foot here, JPat. They want to make sure that they are in this race from October all the way on through to April.
Yeah, and this is the 4th straight year that they started in Edmonton, a bit of a scheduling quirk in that regard. Last year, they lost 3-2 in a shootout on opening night when they were down 2-0, got to the 3rd period, and rallied with goals from Quinn Hughes and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, so a couple of defensemen, but no forward scored last year. They certainly would like to see that change here on opening night. The year before was the All-Canadian division, the shortened season, and the Canucks were winners 5-3 that night in Edmonton, so they've had some success on opening nights. The third of these 3 straight that they've started in Edmonton, they lost 3-2 a couple of years ago. They had a lead in the 3rd period and let it slip away. So sort of a mixed bag of results. And just the way the schedule worked, it was funny. They were in Edmonton on opening night. They didn't return to Edmonton last year until game 82. So they bookended their season with games in Edmonton. And as it turned out, they were both 3-2 shootout losses to the Oilers. So if they're going to make up ground in this division, beat divisional opponents straight up head on, and what a great opportunity to sort of set the season in motion here, set the tone for the road trip with a victory. It's not going to be easy, but hey, the lights go on. This is playing for keeps now, and we'll see what the Canucks have to offer the Edmonton Oilers, who, by the way, we've spent a lot of time in this market talking about the Canucks and their 3 centers and how deep they are down the middle. And you look at the way the Oilers are lining up tonight. Yeah. David and Draisaitl are split to start. Now, of course, Jay Woodcroft can go back to playing those 2 at any point together, and it's an amazing card to have in your back pocket. But they've got the Nuge as their 3rd-line center. So the Canucks like what they've got in terms of 1-2-3 down the middle. Pretty hard to argue when the Oilers line up that way with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
All right, you got a hat trick of players that you want to focus in on. We spoke about one of them earlier. Who else is under the microscope tonight?
Well, I think it starts in goal. It's the Oilers and all this firepower. Thatcher Demko has to be ready. He looked sharp in the preseason. This is the first of a whole bunch of games this season for him. But of course, they've got to monitor his workload. You knew he was going to get opening night, and I think he'll play 4 of the 5 here on this road trip. But what a great way for him if he could set the tone and really be the backbone for this hockey club, not just tonight, but all season long. He's on the verge, in my opinion, of really being in the conversation in that small group of truly elite goaltenders. We saw Vasilevsky and Shesterkin go head-to-head last night in the first games here in North America. What a great goaltending battle that was. I think the Canucks want to believe that Thatcher Demko can be a difference maker for them. And I know the Oilers think they've upgraded in Jack Campbell. A little bit of pressure on him to sort of start his Edmonton career on the right foot. But I think the Canucks feel that they've got an edge in goal most nights when Thatcher Demko is between the pipes. So let's see what he looks like. He looked good in the preseason. And when you think of this Canuck roster, the least of their concerns is in goal. Again, Thatcher Demko delivers almost every night out, but he's going to be under the gun. It's the Oilers, the firepower that they've got. They've had one of the best power plays in the league for a bunch of years now, and if the Canucks run into any kind of penalty problems, that's going to put the penalty kill. And of course, that was a huge story last year early on. Goaltending can be the difference maker in terms of how successful a penalty kill is. So some pressure on Demko as well, and we'll just be monitoring him and his workload all season long.
Maintenance day for OEL is what we're told. He'll be healthy, according to the head coach, and ready to play tonight. But we've seen maintenance days before with the Canucks. JPat, bit of a bad sign here?
It's hard to know. I mean, he was seen in the hallways outside the locker room. He was around the team. They weren't trying to hide him. He was at the rink. This is a veteran guy. You want to believe that by this stage of his career, he knows his body and what it takes to be ready. And if the coach says he's going to play, then we'll give him the benefit of the doubt on opening night. But you're right. I mean, Quinn Hughes didn't play on Friday, and then we didn't see him again at practice until yesterday, and there was a bunch of maintenance in there. But he's got the clean bill of health, and man, they're going to need him. They're going to need him tonight. They're going to need him every night. And we'll see how much. It's going to be interesting to monitor his usage and his ice time. Again, without Tyler Myers in the lineup, somebody's got to play those 20 minutes. And Tucker Pullman's going to be one of the guys that eats up some time there. And then you get that third pair. Riley Stillman, acquired on the weekend, has barely practiced with his team, and now he's getting thrown right into the lineup. We'll see what he looks like. What kind of chemistry does he have with Kyle Burroughs? I'm glad to see Kyle Burroughs earn an opening night spot. I think he did earn it with his play in the preseason. Unfortunately, looks like Jack Rathbone is going to have to be patient here and wait his turn as Stillman gets the nod on that left side on the third pair ahead of Jack Rathbone.
Andrei Kuzmenko to make his official NHL debut in the regular season this evening. The 26-year-old rookie. He looks to be a good one for the Canucks, but hey, the preseason is one thing. This is when things are for real.
Yeah, but I mean, he answered a lot of questions. I think the best that he could with his performance on the ice, and we all raved about his performance off the ice as well. A bunch of fun with that $1 million smile, and I saw yesterday posing with the new Canuck puppy, and the puppy was cute, but Kuzmenko again, that big grin. I think that's people are going to buy into this guy if he scores goals and does it with that sort of flair and that style. How can you not love Andrei Kuzmenko? So, a nice start in the preseason and playing with Elias Pettersson. Again, Pettersson just looks motivated. He looks ready. That's such a good sign for the Vancouver Canucks. And those two have forged some chemistry here already in the preseason. So I think it's fair now to have some expectations that Kuzmenko can and will score goals in the National Hockey League. But as you said, it's a mixed bag in the preseason. You're seeing NHL goaltenders, you're seeing AHL goaltenders, you're seeing AHL defenders and guys that are trying to earn spots in the big leagues. This is a big league opponent, the first of 82 for Andrei Kuzmenko, so the lights get a little bit brighter here. Some of the best stars in the league on the other side, and we'll see how he fares in what is now officially his NHL debut.
That leads me into my Bodog best bet tonight. Anytime goal scorer, Andrei Kuzmenko at plus 330. I'm saying put some money down as Kuzmenko will make you some tonight. That is my best bet. I like the rookie to score in his NHL debut.
Yeah, not bad. Again, playing with Paterson, he's going to get first power play opportunities. If you think back a couple of years ago, Nils Höglander was in the same boat, played his first NHL game in Edmonton, nobody in the stands in the COVID season. He scored in his NHL debut, so there's some recent precedent for a Vancouver Canuck rookie stepping into the lineup and finding the back of the net. And that would be a great way for Kuzmenko. You remember last year, Podkolzin scored his first goal in the second game of the season in Philadelphia. So he had to wait a game, but here's a chance for Andrei Kuzmenko to really sort of make an impact for the Canucks and continue to just develop this bond that clearly is forming with the fan base here in Vancouver. I think expectations are high, and it's hard to put a number. I know lots of people have said, can he score 20? Can he score 25? I want to see the season unfold here. I'm not going to peg a number for him, but man, if he could add 25 goals to this lineup for the Vancouver Canucks, absolute win on an entry-level contract. But it's hard to score goals in the National Hockey League. I know that he's brought here to do that, but I'm not going to put a projection on him. I just want to see that he can translate the preseason he had into these games that that count now, starting tonight.
And if I remember correctly, that was a heavy shot from Vasily Podkolzin on that first snipe of his as well. And
most of his goals were.
That is true. Andrei Kuzmenko has that cannon as well. Perhaps Andrei Kuzmenko is your do something candidate tonight. Who do you got?
It is not Kuzmenko. Look, maybe this is unfair, putting pressure on a guy that didn't skate a game in the preseason, but Brock Boeser is cleared. He's got the green light. He's back in the lineup, which is an incredible story given that there was real concern that he was going to miss the entire road trip. That game in Minnesota, the only game that the team plays in Minnesota, his hometown. But he is back. He's worked hard with the rehab crew to get ready. Full practice yesterday, a morning skate this morning. And we have spent a ton of the offseason talking about Brock Boeser. What's fair? I don't want to put a projection on Kuzmenko. I will on Boeser. I've said it before. It is time for a 30-goal season. He's got to stay healthy to get there. And so there was a scare here in the preseason. Let's walk down memory lane a little bit with Brock Boeser. Brock Boeser had 4 goals at the time of the coaching change last year. It's kind of an underreported story because Elias Pettersson's struggles were, I think, more documented. But Boeser, he only played the one preseason game last year, missed the first bunch of games with a midsection injury, and then struggled. He's never found his form. And so he was one of the reasons that this team had to make the changes it did on December 5th last year. And then he got the Bruce bump, but he ended up with 23 goals. So he had a decent second half. He played well under Bruce Boudreau, but I think people forget that Brock Boeser struggled out of the gates without a preseason last year. Well, he didn't have a preseason this year either. And so that's my concern. But the good news here is, go back 2 years, that game I mentioned about Nils Höglander scoring, Brock Boeser scored twice that night in Edmonton and was the Canucks' best player in that COVID-shortened all-Canadian season. And so wouldn't you just love to see Brock Boeser come firing out of the gates here, have history repeat itself from 2 years ago where he scored twice, including the winner. So he's playing with JT Miller. He's playing with Tanner Pearson. He's back on that top line for the Vancouver Canucks. I know he's not on the first power play unit, but I'm saying Brock Boeser, start the season off on the right foot here. You're getting paid to be a goal scorer now. Want to see him score some goals. Want to see him do something to help the Vancouver Canucks tonight.
And there you have it. And of course, during the post-game show, JPat will tell you who did something. And once he says that, he'll give you the hashtag. You can send the hashtag into the Great Clips inbox at 778-402-9680. That'll get you into a draw to win a hat, courtesy of our friends at 9 o'clock Gun. All right, JPat, the season gets for real, as mentioned off the top here tonight for the Canucks, but big expectations, it feels like, this year. I know it's been about a decade now of doom and gloom around this Canucks team. Seems like they want to move forward, and they're going to have to get off on the right foot against a team that is picked by a lot of people to win the Pacific Division this year.
Yeah, it feels like it's time for this group to get back to the playoffs, and you just wonder, can that defense core hold up its end of the bargain? I think they've got the forwards to do it. I think they've got the goaltender to do it. And, of course, the one little blip of playoff sunshine that this group has experienced was right there in Edmonton in the bubble. And that's what excites me, because when they got there, and I know that they were invited to an expanded 24-team field, they may not have qualified had the season finished out, but then COVID hit. They had those 13 games remaining, and they were right there on the bubble at that time. So we don't know how it would have played out, but they got invited to an expanded tournament, beat Minnesota, beat St. Louis, pushed Vegas to the limit. And what I loved most about that was, it was the first look at playoff hockey at the NHL level for Elias Pettersson, for Quinn Hughes, for Brock Boeser, first time for JT Miller as a Canuck. Bo Horvat skated in the playoffs back in his rookie year, back in 2015, last time that there were home games here in Vancouver. And so this group's had some success in the bubble in Edmonton. I want to see them get back to the postseason, because I think they answered a lot of questions about would they measure up then. And now you look Pettersson and Hughes that much further along in the aging curve and development in their careers. And so excited for Elias Pettersson just because he arrived at camp and looked dialed in. We know that Quinn Hughes last year, took the season personally and wanted to show that he could defend well, sparing no offense. And he had an incredible season. And he has emerged as truly an elite defender in the National Hockey League and one of the best young defensemen. And so it's always fun to watch. He's going to be a big part of the Canucks. How much ice time does he log? How much ice time does he have to log? I mean, those are some of the questions that we're going to be monitoring as this season unfolds here. But Paterson already looks like he's in midseason form. And if he can come anywhere close to starting this season the way that he finished last year, then that's going to go a long way. Because ultimately, we can talk about Miller, we can talk about Besser, the addition of Kuzmenko. I think this team goes as far as Elias Pettersson takes them this year.
And you'll be along for the ride with us, as it'll be pregame, postgame, every game here from Rink-Wide Vancouver. And we will have that postgame available for you as quick as we can after the final horn. Just find us on all your favorite podcast platforms. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel just yet, hit that subscribe button right now and let us know in the comments, who do you think needs to do something tonight? Where are you at with the Canucks? Going to make the playoffs this year? We'd love to hear from you. Just send us a post in the comments. All right, JPat, like I said, it's all for real tonight as the Canucks face off against the Oilers. Going to be a big season from the Canucks, we're hoping, and it'll be right here with us on Rink-Wide Vancouver. That's been another edition of the Rink-Wide Vancouver podcast presented by Bodog. For Jeff Paterson, I'm Andrew Wadden. Remember, Rink-Wide is the show that always scores.